Over the past few years, I've found that intermittent fasting has been a great tool for keeping in shape, and I'm often asked how I do it. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce you to this season's sponsor, the Simple Life app. They are a clinically proven weight loss tool that has helped millions of users lose millions of pounds. Their method doesn't involve restrictive dieting. You simply take the test and Simple will create a personalized fasting and nutrition plan for you to hit your health goals. To take the test, go to simple.life/Amanda. That's simple.life/Amanda. And as an added bonus, you can use the code Amanda at checkout for an amazing 70% off your plan. Today, I'm going on a style journey with British luxury footwear designer, the wonderful Penelope Chilvers. Hello and welcome, Penelope.
Hello, Amanda.
It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's such a pleasure. Congratulations on your new Cotswold store. It's your first country store. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to know why you decided or you settled on Stow on the Wold.
Well, Store in the World is quite close to home, and it's a very pretty historic town. And I've always wanted to have a country store, so it was serendipity that the right store came up at the right time. But actually, I've wanted to have a country store long before I had a London store. It was always my dream to have the the concept of a country store on the way to somewhere beautiful. And back 22 years ago when I first started, people asked me what my dream kind of shop would be, and I always said it would be on the side of the motorway, on the way out of the city, to escape for the city, to go somewhere absolutely beautiful and bucolic. And I used to look at those wimpy bars and that eventually became M&S and think about them as perfect locations. But anyway, I ended up opening 3 stores in London a lot before I managed to convince my team that I really wanted to be in the country as well.
Oh, brilliant! Because I always think of the collection as being quite country inspired.
Yeah,
If that's a fair,
it is definitely. Yes, even though it sounds rather unsexy, country clothing has got a certain ring to it, which I don't necessarily feel totally encapsulates what I do. But when I'm designing and thinking about what we stand for, and how I want people to wear our shoes and boots, it's always in a beautiful landscape, at one with nature, feeling free.
yeah, that's really beautiful. But and I do actually feel that the country and the Cotswolds in particular is having a massive, massive moment. I mean, with everything from Dalesford to Soho Farmhouse to, Maison Estelle or Estelle Farm
Manner,
Manor,
yes.
that's it. And everyone sort of who you would expect to be quite towny people are now going out and enjoying the splendor of the British countryside. And so it must be actually really brilliant for a brand like yours.
Yeah. I think, post-COVID, there's certainly been that direction that people have wanted to go in out of the city, and so many people actually left the city for the time of lockdown. But um, it's also badly needed. I hope I can justify to some of the older generation living out in the country who say to me, "Oh, you know, don't bring sophistication. Let's just keep it how it is." But I have taken on a very old store in a market town where there's always been commerce, the history of commerce, thousands of years back. And I feel like the custodian of a beautiful old place that needs restoration, revival, and energy.
Possibly one of your most iconic styles is your gorgeous long tassel boot, particularly loved and worn for many years by our beautiful Princess of Wales. Do you know how she came to own a pair of your boots in the first place? Were you aware that she did, or was the first you saw when you saw a fabulous picture of her looking great in country clothing?
I think that the first time I met Kate and her mother was at Spirit of Christmas,
Oh,
where she bought a pair
lovely.
of boots.
Yeah.
And she obviously liked them a lot and wore them again and again. But it was that moment when there was an image that went viral of her wearing the boots the day that they got engaged.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
And that went viral all over the world. And she'd had the boots for quite a long time by then.
And did your website crash? Did you sell hundreds of pairs overnight?
I'm not sure if I even had a website then. I didn't have a shopping website. It was very early on.
But
I
did the
had a
phones
wholesale website.
and did the phones
Yes,
ring off the hook?
yes, they did. Yeah,
And she continues to wear them to this day.
yeah.
And I have to say, I have a pair. They are
They last
fantastic.
forever.
They last forever. They look great. There's something, I mean, I love a good pair of wellies, but there's something about that long tassel boot that just looks a bit chicer, a bit more feminine than a good old pair of wellies.
It was the first boot I ever made,
Was
and
it?
it was when I was living in Barcelona, and I used to go riding in my lunch break in Quickfire, which is, a park above the city, and,
That sounds so glamorous. Sorry, I used to go riding in my lunch break. That's just fantastic. So
well
you decided that you needed a boot?
I went to a horse fair and met, an artisan and got chatting. I was already working with artisans and craftspeople in Spain. That was what I did when I lived in Barcelona. And so I got talking to him, and I'm fascinated in design. And we designed the classic Spanish riding boot to my own measurements and design, where I tweaked the ankle. It used to be more of a unisex style, but I made it very feminine and slightly longer. And that was the first pair of boots I ever made. I didn't have a business then. I was doing something else. I was designing other things.
And at that stage, did they have the chunky sole or were they a leather sole, more of a riding boot sole?
I put on the chunky sole. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm.
Fantastic. I mean, I think we have a mutual love of timeless design, which I guess from a business perspective has its challenges because you've designed pieces that last for a very long time. How do you overcome that in terms of driving the business forward?
Um, there are plenty of people out there, and everybody needs footwear. So I'm not worried about my product lasting for a very long time. In fact, I'm very proud of it.
Mm,
And I really believe in making things for longevity.
mm.
Um, and I think I also believe in teaching our customers how to care for their boots. I mean, today I'm wearing a pair of boots that are 3 years old that I've had resoled already. And I love to polish them. And it's part of our DNA,
Yeah,
really.
there is something
It's
lovely about the patina of time, isn't it?
And the artisans that make our boots, particularly our equestrian boots, um, are experts in making footwear to last for a very long time. It's what they've always done, and they've taught me really my trade. So
And so do you have 2 collections a year? How does it work? Or do you drip feed new product in throughout the year?
yes, we've started doing that.
So it's an evolution rather than a revolution.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
nicely put. Yeah,
I love that. I
yeah.
always feel that clothes and accessories should be an evolution rather than a revolution. We get through too much stuff and we should be buying less, buying better, cherishing it, which I think is,
Yes, and also the design process. I do start a year in advance to
yeah,
think about what people will be needing in a year's time, and I like to try and make kind of the essential wardrobe for a woman. So I try to keep it as lean as possible always. and sometimes I miss things at the time, but I work with factories in Spain, so they're all close to home. So we're still quite agile, and if I think about something that we've forgotten, I'm able normally to turn it around quite quickly.
Now, talking about a capsule wardrobe, if I said to you, what would be in your capsule wardrobe of shoes and boots
Mhm.
at an absolute minimum, what would those pieces be?
Well, there would be an ankle boot, probably on a crepe sole that you can run around in. There would be a trainer or a walking boot that you could walk in, and get exercise, wherever you go, walking to work
Mm,
or just going for a quick sprint. I walk twice a day,
yeah.
and I don't normally put on special trainers. I wear my own boots or
Mm,
shoes, whatever's comfortable. Um, a party shoe, probably flat and high.
yeah.
I wear a pair of clogs because we have very cold floors in the country, and I love to wear those. But I also I find them incredibly comfortable at the end of a day as well when you've
Mm.
been wearing something different. Um, a pair of velvet slippers for the evening. I find those incredibly comfortable and beautiful and timeless. I don't think I can think of much else.
But do you know what? I think that covers pretty much everything. I mean, just talking velvet slippers for a moment, these exquisite ones that you bought today. Um, Talk to me about those.
So that was a collaboration with a group of safari camps in Rajasthan owned by Anjali and Jaisal Singh, and they're called Sujan, the group. And they all offer something entirely different, but they are all conservation projects that I found. I went there to find out what they were about, and it was the most impressive um, effort to conserving the local landscape and wildlife that I've ever seen. It's
Wow,
absolutely extraordinary. And these slippers were dedicated to the conservation of the tiger, which is in dangerous extinction. And we dedicate 10% of every pair of slippers that we make to the conservation project at
fantastic.
Sujan.
And can you just talk me through the design process? Because you've got the most extraordinary looking tiger on these, embroidered absolutely beautifully on this deep, deep green velvet. But just talk to me about, did you draw that tiger and then get it embroidered? How?
We drew it together, Anjali and I.
Yeah.
She already draws the tigers that she knows. She knows quite a few of the local tigers that move around the camp, and they see them sometimes at night.
God, how
And it's
extraordinary.
within the Ranthambore forest, so the dark green velvet is represents the
Yeah.
Ranthambore forest, and the tiger I had to adapt to the shape of the upper of the slipper, the pattern. And Anjali was very particular. She said, "No, no, that those jowls need to come out a little bit more. It's looking like a Chinese tiger, and the ears need to be a certain shape, and the markings need to be in certain places." So it took quite a long time,
So it's
and
a,
it's all in gold metallic thread in 3 tones,
yeah.
and then the negative is the velvet.
Absolutely exquisite. Now, talking India, you did a collaboration with India Hicks, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you what brought that about, that collaboration about?
So India is one of our PC pioneers, which is a name that we give to all the women that inspire me as a designer, but also the brand um, to embrace the women that we admire. And
I love that, by the way. I was looking on your website as I was sort of
yeah,
pulling together my research, and you've got such a lovely cross section and some surprising women on there, which I think surprising is always inspiring. I
well,
love
she
that.
very kindly asked me to do the footwear
Yeah.
for her
Yeah.
collection. And then we're also bringing back something that I think our customers are going to be really excited by, which is the first cowboy boot that I ever did with her that you're wearing today.
Which I love, by the way, and I love a cowboy boot with a skirt.
Mm.
And so, yes,
It's got a particularly long shaft, which is incredibly elegant.
yes.
Designed specially for India, who's got very long legs.
Yeah. So today we're going on a style journey. I want to know how you decided what you were putting on this morning.
I always start with the footwear.
I was going to ask you that. Do you
Yeah.
always start with your footwear and then work on up? If I were
Maybe
you, I
not if I'm
would
at
probably.
home not wearing anything, but
Yeah.
if I'm going to be, yes, if I'm going to work,
Yeah.
I do. And today I'm wearing a pair of pull-on brown boots in a vegetable dyed leather. And they were the second pair of boots I ever made. So after the
Lovely.
Long Tassel boot,
Yeah.
I made these. And I haven't had them for a long time. I've had my own, which are 20 years
Yeah.
old, and I've had versions of them, but I haven't had them in the collection for a long time. But I wanted to go back to it and offer something bespoke for the new store in Stowe, because it's in the middle of horse country,
Yeah.
English horse country. I wanted to provide a new equestrian boot, not to just be worn on horseback, but also to be worn with skirts like I'm wearing today. And so we're offering it in 3 different calf measurements and I think 6 different leathers,
Gorgeous.
and we're embroidering people's initials on it.
How lovely. And
So
how long does the process take from me coming in and ordering mine with my initials and all of that to me pulling them on?
6 weeks.
God, that's quick.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so lots of different colours?
Yeah, well, just classic colours. These are boots to be worn, throughout the year. So we've got our classic conker brown and black and an amazing tan, natural tan. And then different suede colours like khaki and navy and bitter chocolate.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. So you've got your riding boot on with a denim skirt?
Denim skirt that was made by a friend of mine and a shirt that I bought on holiday in Spain.
It looks very Spanish.
I'm not very good at my brands. And then my jacket that I was wearing earlier is La Gazelle, which is a brand that make jackets and coats and boleros out of vintage blankets.
Oh, gorgeous.
And
Gorgeous.
we are representing them in Stowe on the Wold. We've got a little area in the shop that's a pop-up for other brands, and I've specifically chosen small British brands that do really unusual things.
Lovely. And can you
I
tell
love
me?
vintage, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I love the whole feeling of upcycling.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about your necklaces? Because they are striking me as so beautiful.
Thank you. Well, this medallion was given to me by my factory after a pilgrimage that we walked on together. It's the Rocío, and where I make boots in Spain, everybody pays homage to her once a year and goes on a horseback ride to Rocío, which is a place in southern Spain. And it was probably the most incredible journey I've ever been on.
How long did it take?
2 days.
Wow. And you were
I was actually on foot.
on foot.
Yeah.
Wow. But a lot of people were on horseback around you?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
magical.
Yes. Half are on foot and the rest are on horseback. It's it. I found it very inspiring and wonderful. And I was christened on the pilgrimage to
Oh,
be a rociera as well.
how beautiful.
And it's kind of feels like a good luck
Yeah.
token to my business,
Yeah.
really. To the
Gorgeous.
first people who started making
And do you find
for
yourself
me.
wearing that every day?
Most days,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you ever reach for it when you think, I just want a little bit of extra confidence
Yes, I
today?
probably do.
Yeah. Now, you grew up in England.
Mhm.
Were you very aware of your mother's style growing up?
Yes. I think my mother was my parents enjoyed clothes, and I think my mother was very stylish. I do remember one of my earliest memories was spending hours in her silk scarf drawer, tidying and putting colours together and folding them and looking at them. I loved that moment, and I can remember it. It was a big treat to be able to go and tidy her silk scarf drawer.
How old were you, do you reckon, when you were
I,
doing that?
I can't remember. That's probably the earliest memory. I must have been 6 or
And was it the feel, or was it the colours or the patterns?
it was all of
It
that.
was all of that.
Yes.
I know you were very influenced by childhood holidays in Spain. Can you tell me about what were the particular influences there?
Yes, I feel like my creativity awakened in Spain. It felt very exotic and beautiful. We used to spend summer holidays there, and I remember there was a family who lived next door who only wore white. I thought they looked so exotic, white and bare feet to go to the square for a drink in the evening.
And they were probably gorgeously tanned too.
Yeah,
And were they Spanish?
yes.
Yes.
And I also remember I remember my first shoes that I ever, my mother gave me at the end of the holiday. It was a treat to go shoe shopping at the end of a summer holiday. And I remember buying some moccasins in a beautiful bull hide leather, which I absolutely adored, and my very first cowboy boots as well.
And what colour were your bullhide
They
moccasins?
were a beautiful tan, the perfect tan,
Oh, lovely. Now, are these
made
the
by hand.
alpargatas?
No,
No.
but I do make alpargatas as well.
So please, can you tell me what an alpargata is?
Yes, it's an espadrille in Catalan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I
why?
speak Spanish and Catalan as well,
I
so
I can tell just by the way you say Catalan. Why does it need to be in bullhide?
bull hide is a cut of cowhide, but it's particularly thick and wrinkly and beautiful, textural.
And does it have a certain flex to it,
Yes,
or
you don't need to line it, which is lovely. Yeah, those natural vegetable dyed leathers that I use, there's only one tannery really left that does it
in Spain?
in Spain, and I love their leathers. We make belts and wallets and um,
And can you for those of us who don't might not know what veg tan means, can you just explain that?
so vegetable dye just means that there are no chemicals used, and our particular hides are oiled in quebracho, which is a kind of oil that comes from a tree, and
So it's all in an incredibly natural process,
yes,
because otherwise the tanning process is pretty chemical, isn't it?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
And now we've started using gold-rated tanneries for any of our other leathers, just to make sure that we know what's being used.
What's your view on vegan leather? I say vegan leather.
I don't have much of a view on it yet because I haven't started using it because I haven't found one that works in the same way as natural leathers.
Now,
If I could, and it was biodegradable, which for me is the most important thing, what I worry most about being in production is waste and where it goes to. And I can't bear the thought of any of our products sitting in the ground and not biodegrading. So until a vegan leather is created where it hasn't got any plastic in it.
I know you love an animal print,
Mhm.
hence me wearing one
Yes,
today. Is that just for shoes, or do you enjoy wearing animal print on your body?
I love wearing animal print. It's perfect neutral, and I love it. Yeah.
Have you ever been inspired to venture into ready to wear, because you've got this sort of lovely brand, the timeless shoes and boots, and I just wondered if you've ever thought, okay, well, I could take that one step further.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Give me the brief. Funny enough, a lot of people ask us, when we're styling our footwear, we always obviously need clothing,
Mm.
and we try really hard to style. Well, it isn't difficult. It isn't trying hard. We really enjoy styling with vintage clothing.
Mm.
And some of the vintage clothing that gets used on our shoots, I hold on to with the thought that one day I'll have an archive to design a collection.
Yeah, it is lovely actually just dipping into vintage to be inspired.
Well, I love textiles and I love my clothes, so I would love to one day.
In this content hungry world, the
Yeah.
social media that we inhabit, how do you feel about being the face of your brand?
I just feel incredibly lucky that I'm still relevant, yeah, I feel just very lucky. I mean, I love to I've really enjoyed creating a brand. For me, it's been like I was trained as an artist and painter and went to art school. And building a brand, funny enough to me, has been a little bit like a work of art,
Mm,
um, in its many layers and its conceptual side as well as the design side. So I love to think about it and talk about it and represent it because it's everything I believe in.
yeah.
And but there's another side to it that I really enjoy spending time on my own and I need to be creative. So if it steals time from me um, making things and being creative and thinking through the process of my work, then that can be annoying or a hindrance.
Mm, I mean, you have 2 daughters who are they now both involved in the business?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do do you think having their generation within the business, has that affected your approach to design in any way?
Yes, I mean, we're ever evolving. We're in a very different place to when I started designing 22 years ago. I mean, fashion has moved on. Um, Everything that the fashion world stands for has moved on as well. We're, so much, so different. But I find it incredibly inspiring working with them. I feel
And
very lucky to be surrounded
bec
by family, but
yeah,
also the next generation
yeah.
in
Because
my
am
work.
I right in saying one of your daughters works with you on the design side?
Yes. And the other one works in marketing, but she's also our stylist, our in-house stylist. So she dresses the model for all our photo shoots and she dresses me as well.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely lovely. How would you want your daughters, let's say, to describe your style DNA in 3 words?
Well, color, I think I'm very colorful. So they probably say I was colorful, eclectic,
Mm,
and interesting, possibly.
yeah, like that. I like that. Would you say being stylish is important to you?
I suppose just because I'm a great appreciator of beautiful things, I think that dressing with care can, can be it partakes a bit of joy, and doesn't it? And
Mm. I often talk about clothes being our armor, and I wonder if you ever think like that.
sometimes, yes. I mean, not very. I don't think of it very often, but I think one of the questions you were going to ask me today was an extravagant moment in my wardrobe when I
Mm.
bought something. Can I talk about that
You
now?
can talk about that right
And
now.
I was thinking of probably the most expensive dress that I bought recently when I was in New York, and there was a party that was hosted in my name where I was going to give a talk, and I caught something on the plane and felt terrible, and I caught flu, and there was no way I could not turn up for this party full of customers that knew the brand. And so I bought myself a dress. I was on the North Shore in Massachusetts,
Mm.
and I bought myself a beautiful emerald green dress from Anne Mashburn in a really thick raw silk, and wore that to the party with a pair of leopard skin velvet pumps that we make. And it kind of felt like armor that night because I was, topped up with paracetamol and feeling terrible. But it was turned out to be the most incredible evening, probably thanks to my dress.
And out of interest, you'd obviously packed something to wear that night
Yes,
and then arrived feeling horrible
yes,
and knowing that you needed a bit of a boost.
absolutely.
Fantastic. So what is at home chill out Penelope wearing?
Um, well, I love a shirt. I wear a man's shirt or a man, I'm a masculine looking
Yeah.
striped blue and white shirt when I'm designing, um, and jeans.
If I asked you, do you have a style hack for staying sort of um, cooler and as the years creep by, what would that be?
A good neckline, like a shirt, like you're wearing today, is really always attractive.
Lucky I reached for this, isn't
Yeah.
it? What's your approach to hair, makeup, and manicures?
I don't do enough of it because I always feel so nice when I do.
And what's your favourite in terms of a treat?
Probably the hairdressers.
A good blow dry?
Yes.
Yeah, nothing beats a good blow dry, I
Yes.
think. Do you have a style icon?
Yes, I've been thinking about this. I have many style icons, but I thought I would mention Karen Blixen,
Oh,
um, out of Africa.
yeah,
That just wonderful look when she was played by Meryl Streep,
yeah,
the Jodhpurs.
yeah.
And I actually once went to Nairobi and visited Karen, which is a district outside Nairobi named after
Mm,
her. And her wardrobe just had 3 pieces of clothing in it. It had a beautiful pair of brown riding boots and then 2 pairs of jodhpurs, beautiful wool jodhpurs with leather patches down the inside leg, and a shirt. Talking about living in the wild or being wild. I love a free woman, in my mind's eye. When I'm designing someone, I'm thinking of that freedom that a pair of boots gives you, and I was thinking of Penelope Cruz, but, I'll say it in English, Penelope Cruz or Penelope Cruz, who is the most incredible Spanish actress, and, in Jamón Jamón, which is one of her early films,
mm.
I just love her wildness and freedom and hair in her face in the wind. I love that.
Lovely. I love that.
Inspiring.
Oh, I love that. You lead an incredibly busy life.
Mhm.
You're designing, you're traveling, either on production or promotion. Um, is your wardrobe phenomenally organized?
No. I'm really untidy, disorganized, um, and my wardrobe's a mess.
Would you say you're a mood dresser or do you plan your looks at the beginning of the week?
I'm definitely a mood dresser. I find it very difficult to make a decision until it's 10 minutes before I have to go.
When you're unsure of what you've put on,
Yes,
who do you most trust for an honest opinion?
my daughters.
Would you say you've had a worst fashion moment?
Yes, I'm sure I have. I remember when I was about 16, because I think it was a 16th birthday party, I went God, I can't imagine what I looked like. I wore my father's red Viola pajamas to a party once. Tiny, but I thought it looked cool at the time.
Was there a dress code or you just thought it looked cool?
I just thought it looked really cool.
Well, do you know what? I'm sure it did, and you probably felt really cool too.
But the
Love
top must have been down by my
I'd
knees.
love to see a picture of that. Let's talk about, travel. What shoes do you travel in?
I like to travel in a crepe-soled boot. We've been making safari boots for many, many times. So many of our customers have bought them over the years. And this season, we've done a new version of that boot, which is called the Rambler boot, which is
And talk
just
to me about what that looks like.
it's crepe-soled. It's a billy construction, which means that the outside edge of the sole has been turned out and overstitched.
Oh, lovely.
Crepe sole, And we've got a lace-up version in in a tortoiseshell print, which looks like a large version of leopard skin
Mm,
print, and that's what I run around in when I'm on photo shoots,
yeah. And
and
you,
at the factory as well when we're on our feet all the
I
time.
was going to say, you spend quite a lot of time in Spain,
Yeah.
sort of visiting factories, etc.,
Yes.
suppliers. Uh, would you say your style is different in Spain to being in the UK?
Yes, it is actually.
You
That's an interesting question.
a little bit more Spanish, because you
Yeah,
speak
I
fluent
think
Spanish
yes,
anyhow,
I
don't
do.
you?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived there for 10 years, but I spoke Spanish really before I went to live there. Um, I think my style in Spain is probably a bit more feminine. I think the Spanish women really know how to bring out they're very confident with their curves and their femininity. And I think I probably dress in that way when I'm in Spain.
The Spanish are quite formal
Yeah,
in their dress, aren't they?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm out in the sticks. My factories are not in the city, so I don't mean that I am wearing formal urban style.
Mm,
It's just tidier, maybe.
yeah,
Like I've made an effort. It's
yeah,
important to make an effort in Spain. Men and women really respect um, people who make an effort with their dress.
yeah. I find it really charming, actually. Are you a good packer or a bad packer?
Good packer.
Favorite luggage?
My hold all that I just wear over my shoulder.
Which brand would you say is your guilty secret and why?
I love Ulla Johnson. Because I really respect the way she uses prints and the prints that they're just it's an intelligent approach.
If you had all the money in the world and you had a money no object brand that you could wear, what would that brand be?
I've no idea. I don't think
I like that. I like that. What, if anything, do you feel you have got an excessive amount of in your wardrobe?
probably too many shoes.
Do you
Of
have
course,
do do you
too many shoes. And I never quite dare throw them away because they might be a reference for the next season.
I was going to ask you, do you archive one of every style you've ever created?
No, I don't. I did start doing that, and I did think it would be a wonderful idea. And kind of in my dreams, I thought maybe we could do, you know, an exhibition of the development that I'd gone through
Mm.
my career, but it just isn't practical.
Because of space and
Space, I
yeah,
suppose, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I hate waste as well. I hate the thought of something just sitting there not being used.
yeah, yeah. But I hate the thought of some wonderful references that you no longer have
So do
too.
I, and I can't go to my own sample sales because of it, because I see unfinished work or something that I think's really brilliant, and I think, "Gosh, why didn't it come into the collection?"
Mm,
And there's only one pair of it. So I don't go any longer
yeah,
because it makes me feel very anxious.
I I can understand that.
But I'm
Um,
delighted that it's all being we have lovely sample sales and people who wait for the 2 sample sales that we have a year so that, they can buy them, and that makes me feel happy as long as I don't see it.
do you ever, when in buying an expensive piece, do you ever justify it at sort of pounds per wear? That it's gonna last you a long time?
Yes, I do, yeah.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yes. And
What's
isn't
your
it funny the things that you do wear again and again and again, and the
Absolutely.
things that you think you're going to and you don't?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
It's
think
impossible to know.
it is. It is. But you've got to fall in love with something and
Got to fall in love with it, and most importantly, it's got to be comfortable. Because so often you'll reach for something just because you know it feels good.
what's your approach to sustainable fashion?
Well, I like to buy vintage,
Mm.
and I
Where
like to
where do you
buy
go?
I go to Portobello Road
Yeah,
because I've got that on my doorstep
yeah,
in Notting Hill Gate,
yeah.
and I think that the the traders there are so talented. They've got such a great eye,
And so
And so I always find it very inspiring to go there.
are you going to the market
I go to
or
the market,
yes.
yes,
And the stores are great too, actually,
under the
aren't they?
canopy.
Yeah. Love that. Love
Mm.
that. Friday morning.
Friday morning, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I used to buy clothing as a reference. Do you do the same thing with shoes? Because shoes have evolved so much through the decades. Do you ever buy shoes as references?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's just it's a not very often any longer because of photography,
Yeah.
because of social media as well, and, you can find so much on Pinterest
Yeah.
but sometimes it's really important to buy something to look at a detail that you can't see in a photograph,
Yeah.
like the last,
Yeah.
which is the shape of the foot,
Yeah.
the mold.
What do you do with your clothes when you've had enough of them?
I give them to charity shops.
What would you say is the oldest piece in your wardrobe?
I've got a jersey in a kind of oatmeal. I don't know where it's from. It's kind of oatmeal, um, chunky knit that I bought when I was about 18 with my father. He
Gosh.
wanted to buy me a birthday present, and we were shopping together, which is a very rare thing, which is probably why I can remember it. And I think we were supposed to be buying a dress for a party, a special occasion or something, because I remember going home and my mother saying, "Is that all you bought?" You know, but it was a lovely jersey, and I'll never forget, and I still wear it.
And do you wear it because it's a lovely jersey or because of the memory of being with your
I
father?
think it was very special because my father was really pleased with himself for having found it with me and me being so happy with it.
And do you know the yarn?
I don't, but it was a mohair mix, and it
Mm,
had a lovely high collar with buttons
mm,
here,
lovely. Now, we are
and it was
going
in a man shop.
oh,
It was in a yeah, but it was yeah,
and was it very oversized?
quite oversized,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. We're going to spin on to some quickfire questions. So,
Yes.
quick answers. What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Buy carefully to last.
Which fashion trend would you most like to see make a comeback?
I love the 60s.
What fashion or beauty trend would you consign to room 101?
Crocs.
Your last impulse buy?
My jacket from La Gazelle.
Views on tattoos.
I don't have any tattoos, and I don't like them very much.
Beauty
Just
treatment.
because I like the natural skin.
Beauty treatment you couldn't give up?
I haven't really got an answer there because I don't do very many. I'll sometimes try something once and then not get into the routine of doing it again, like the beautician tells you to do.
High end or high street?
High end.
Bling or bear?
Bear.
Minimalism or maximalism?
Something in between.
Couture or charity shop?
Charity shop.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Oh, I'm not keen.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Sneakers.
Skinnies, boyfriends or wide legs?
I like them all. I've got a wide variety of jeans.
Bodycon or boho?
Boho.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Rock chick.
Colour or monochrome?
Colour.
Experimental or uniform?
Experimental.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cashmere or cotton, both.
Hoarder or editor?
I'm not a hoarder, but I'm not good at editing either. Just messy.
Charity shop or resale?
Charity shop.
Shapewear or sexy lingerie?
Sexy lingerie.
Tights or stockings?
Tights.
Bikini or one piece?
Bikini.
And finally, at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
Depends what I'm sleeping with.
So she, the married woman.
Yeah, with my husband, probably nothing. And I often end up bunking up with my daughters, particularly on photo shoots and factory trips. and then we all wear pajamas.
Lovely, lovely. Penny, thank you so much for your time and coming here today and sharing your style journey with me. It's been a lovely conversation.
It's been really fun. Thank you so much.